Don't say that word.
So I'm going to show you how to rebuild your Kanger heads. The T3s and the EVODs are basically the same. However, the way it's put together, it's really much easier to rebuild the EVOD over the T3. Only because the EVOD head unscrews from the base, whereas the T3 does not. So when you're dealing with running your wires and everything, you've got to deal with the actual bottom part here. And I found with these hands that are crippled and old and big and fat, I can't seem to work getting in and out of. I tried and failed with this one. I ended up pulling the wire too tight. It was so finicky and trying to get the... Anyway, it's doable in the same sort of fashion. However, the EVOD, because you can take the head right out of the base, it's much easier to work with. So, let's just show you. So, like I said, you take the EVOD head out of the base. Now, I've already done this once, so I know I can do it. So, there you are. You're going to take this little rubber thing off. And this top part, you're just going to wiggle. You know, it's a lot easier when you got... It's pressure fitted, so you're just going to wiggle it until it... Oh, there we go. Once you have it wiggled a little to one side... Actually, I'm going to grab it with some pliers. If you have hands that work right, you won't need to do this, but... You know what? It's not working for me. I know. I'll put it back in here. A little more to... I'm going to put it back in here until I get it. I have no opposable thumb on the sides. It's a little hard. There we go. All right, so that's out. If you have grip, you're so much better off than me. All right, take it back out. So here we go. So there's your innards. It's going to have the flavor wick on the top, which just basically keeps you from flooding and keeps the juice from spitting up into the thing on a hot coil. So you replace that. And there's your coil. All right, so once you have that, you turn it around and you're looking at your center pin. Like I said, much easier to find when you don't have the base to look down in, like the T3. So it's much easier to work with. It's just going to take, I don't know, pliers or tweezers. It's not really in there hard. It comes out pretty smoothly. Ta-da! There's your center pin. Then there's a little rubber thing. Little rubber grommet. You know, grab that. And like I said, wait, the wire. The center wire's over the edge. Okay, that should come out. I wish I could grab. Actually, I'm going to try tweezers. And it's a slippery because it's got juice in it. Here we go. Come on. Oh! Now I got to go hunt for that. One moment. Okay, so that was fun finding that. on a light colored floor. So I'm going to set that aside. Okay. So those are our parts. So now the coil comes off really easy. So you're just going to reach in there, pull it out. This is the one I made earlier. Successfully. Alright, so here's the easy part. Wrapping your wick. Take a piece, a manageable piece. Don't try and get one that's going to be exactly the right size. You need a manageable piece. And take it and do your wraps. One. Of course, now it's not going to work with me. 2, 3, 4. I'm really good at this, but my fingers are freezing for whatever reason right now. So you're going to get your about 4 turns. Now you're going to squish them all together. We're just going to start shredding your wick if you're not careful. Alrighty. Did I say this was the easy part? I did. I fucking lied.
Don't say that word.
How pitiful is that? Oh my god. Let's try this again. My fingers are freezing. It's freezing in here. I don't know why. But anyway. Take a piece of wire. And a piece of wick. Bear with me, people. You gotta be careful with this wick too, because you're gonna shred it if you have to frig with it too much. Okay, try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look how simple that was. Nice and close together. I didn't fuck with it.
Don't say that word.
Except this tail end. Alright, so that's about good. So you're going to want it to sit in the cup. So you might need to squish it together a little bit. But that's going to work nicely. There she blows. Come on. Ta-da! Pretty good, huh? Okay. Now, these aren't nearly as long as I wanted them to be, but we'll deal. So now you're going to thread this through the center. My fingers and my hands are really arthritic. Alright, set this here, and you can see that it's sitting nice and centered in there. Awesome. We're doing great. So, what's next? Grommet. One's going to be on the outside, one's going to be on the inside. So we'll just put the grommet through here. Now let me see. I'm going to set this right. Yeah, okay. So when you set it to its position, you don't want it in there too tight. You just want it sitting there. So I'm going to put my wire, my outside wire, and yeah, I'm talking about. So now I'll put the grommet in. Just thread the grommet, so one of the wires going inside and one's going outside, and then just pop it in the hole. Get in there. I know people are more dexterous. How do you say it? Some people are ambidextrous. I'm not dexterous at all. Okay, and I can hardly see this either. It will work. It does work. You just got to get it in there because it's squishy. There we go. See that? Once you get it in there, you're just going to push it down. So now see, you got one coming out the center and one off to the side. So you can see how that would be way more crazy trying to do that down inside that. Because believe me, I tried it and I gave up. So now, just going to pull this off to the side. So here, can you see what's going on? Come on. There we go. See? So now we're going to put our center pin down in there. It should slide in pretty nicely. Don't want to squish it. Just, there you go. Now we can trim. And it's so much easier to trim when you're on the outside of something than trying to get your trimmer down inside that. You still with me? Okay. So I take my little, actually I like these better and get nice and close. Trim it off as close as you can. Ow. Go. I'm going to trim this off close as you can. Sit down. Voila. Still got a little tiny bit there, but I'm just going to, there. Looks good. Looks good. So now we're just going to take a little piece of this and set it on top. Just as like a filler and to keep the juice from spitting into the thing when it's hot. And then we just take our thing and squish it in there. It goes in a lot easier than it came off. And there. Ta freaking da. Done. And you just rebuilt the head. Now we just trim the wicks. Nail clippers are so much easier than scissors. Because you can just get right up against it. Get that. Fancy schmancy. It's not sitting on it. Ah, tight. Tighten everything down. There you go. Pretty. Now, screw it back onto the base and see what kind of resistance I just did. There is a way to tell how much resistance you're going to have by, the kind of wire, the gauge of wire. I use 30 gauge and how many wraps, but honestly, if I can just get her done, I'm not worrying about the ohms because I use variable wattage most of the time. Let's see what we got. 0.7. Wow, that's going to be nice. That is it's sub ohm, I realize, but it's close enough to 1. You might want to be careful, but I'm like I said, I'm using variable wattage, so with all the protection, you'd really like to have it at least 1 ohm. So anyway, this is where I like to have it. Sub ohm. Anyway, it's doable. You can get the ohms calculator. There's a little all over the internet. There's something charts that tell you what gauge, how many wraps will give you what ohm. I have it somewhere. I don't know it, but it's doable. So there you have. So if the zombie apocalypse happens, a little bit of wire and some, candle wick and you're off to the races. Definitely doable. Even for me. This is what always happens to me. There's an extra piece. Where did I get extra parts? I forgot to put the little silicone thing back on the top here. I'm sure you won't forget to do it. There you go. Done deal.
Sumi, don't say that word.